We are so used to finding the answers to just about everything on the internet, but what about health questions? The March issue of Shop Smart magazine lists which medical websites you should turn to and which ones you should avoid. Sue Perry from Shop Smart joins us with more now. Sue, thanks for being here.
Hi.
You have some great advice on which ones that we should avoid because they don't have the accurate information.
Yes.
So what should you look for when it comes to those sites? Like one that tries to sell something to you?
Exactly. Something that, if a site is trying to sell you something, supplements, herbal supplements, some kind of remedy, then they have an agenda. They have an agenda, they're trying to sell you something, so how can they be giving you something that's unbiased information? So you really want to steer clear of that. However, there are ways to tell a good site, and that's just by looking at the address, by the URL. So it's, if it ends in a .gov, a .edu, a .org, that means that it's coming from the government, from a nonprofit organization, that's the .org, or edu is an educational institution, and that's something that's probably going to give you something that's more reliable, comprehensive, well-researched.
What about sites that ask you to share information with them?
That's not a good idea. You want to know where your information is going, so you really want to check the site's privacy policy. Some of them won't. Some of them don't disclose it. Some of them do have something that says that we do share your information with companies that might contact you for products and services. That's something that you want to be aware of. What products and services and what companies are they sharing your information? How are they sharing your information? Are you going to end up in some kind of a testimonial on somebody's site? Are you going to have your information sold to a pharmaceutical company? Are you going to get spammed to death? So you really want to know what is the privacy policy of the site, and you don't want to give too much away.
You know, a lot of times when people are looking through those sites, they want to see what people have posted, the comments. Should you be weary if they're not from people with, credible backgrounds?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are sites that just have, scads of writers writing things without any credentials or very few credentials. What you want to do, I mean, eHow is one. eHow might be great to find out how to hem a skirt or fillet a fish, but not for medical advice, because it's just scads we found some bogus medical advice on eHow. I'm just using that. Wikipedia is not a good place to go and get medical advice because, again, it's just a people's encyclopedia where people just can add information.
Just add to it
you can add to it what you want. So what you want to do is look for a site where there actually is an advisory panel. There are medical experts. They have credentials. They have degrees from bona fide colleges. They have expertise in the area, and they also back up their advice with research, linking to studies or research that backs up the advice.
These claims seem too good to be true.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's another tip-off of a site that might be unreliable. If the claims are just too good to be true, there are exclamation points all over the place. If they're promising that this supplement can cure everything from cancer to headaches, then you know that that is not necessarily a reliable site. You really cannot use that as your primary source. If something piques your interest, what you can do is do further research at one of the EDUs or .orgs that I had said before.
What if the site is sponsored by a particular group? Should you really be careful about that too?
Yes, you really can, because we found some sites. For instance, there's something called the arthritis.com. Doesn't that sound like it comes from an arthritis association?
Yeah.
Well, it really, it sounds legit, but it's funded by a pharmaceutical company. So what you can do is you can go to the About Us section, and you can look and see who is behind this site, and look at the fine print, see where it's coming from. And there is one other little tip-off. There's something called ON code, and that means honor code, HONCOD. And that's a symbol that says that this site has sort of been vetted and that it has been it has met criteria, that it's a trustworthy site.
There's a lot to look out for, and you definitely need to, because your health is at risk.
Your health is at risk, yeah.
Sue, thank you so much. We always appreciate your insight. Sue Perry from Shop Smart.